Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question to start with. How many of you are tired of wearing masks just to fit into a world that was never designed to define you? How many of you are exhausted pretending to be someone you're not, just to get approval from people who don't even know their own direction? Here's the truth. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, it's living a life that was never yours to begin with. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why some people, even without the fanciest degrees, the biggest platforms, or the loudest voices, still have an undeniable impact wherever they go? It's not because they're trying to be like somebody else. It's because they've tapped into the most powerful force on earth: authenticity. When you walk in authenticity, you become magnetic. People may not always understand you, but they cannot ignore you, because authenticity is rare in a world full of imitation. Think about it. We live in a society where everyone is trying to fit into someone else's mold. Social media has turned into a stage where people act out roles they were never cast to play. They borrow voices, copy styles, and chase trends. But the truth is, the more you try to be someone else, the more invisible you become. Because copies don't get celebrated, only originals do. The world doesn't reward duplication. It rewards differentiation. Authenticity is power because it eliminates competition. No one can compete with you when you're fully yourself. They might outdo you in skill, they might outrank you in resources, but they can never outdo you in being you. Your voice has a frequency, your fingerprint has a pattern, your story has a weight. And when you put all of that together, it creates a value that no one else on this planet can replicate. That's why authenticity is not optional. It's essential. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you walked into a jewelry store. On one side, you see a table full of imitation gold chains. They look shiny, they look attractive, and at first glance, they could pass for the real thing. On the other side, you see one piece of pure, authentic gold. Which one has more value? The imitations might draw quick attention, but they depreciate the moment they leave the store. The authentic gold, however, holds and even increases in value. That's exactly how life works. When you choose to live as an imitation, you may get temporary attention, but when you live authentically, you build lasting influence. Authenticity is power because it gives you freedom. You don't have to keep up with masks. You don't have to manage a false image. You don't have to wake up every day worried about whether people will still approve of the version of yourself you've manufactured. Instead, you can rest in the confidence that who you are is enough. And when you operate from that place, you stop begging for approval and start commanding respect. Now here's the hook. Some people are afraid to be authentic because they think their flaws disqualify them. But your flaws are part of your authenticity. Your scars tell a story that someone else needs to hear. Your mistakes carry lessons that someone else needs to learn. Authenticity isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. And real always resonates more than fake. So the next time you're tempted to shrink back, to blend in, or to silence your voice, remember this. The world doesn't need another version of somebody else. It needs the fullest, boldest, most authentic version of you. And when you bring that version to the table, you don't just change your life, you give others permission to rise into theirs. Let me start by asking you this. How many times have you seen someone walk into a room and without saying a single word, you could feel their presence? They didn't have to shout, they didn't have to brag, they didn't even have to explain themselves, yet something about them demanded attention. That something is confidence. But here's the key most people miss. Confidence doesn't come from pretending to be bold, it comes from having clarity. When you know who you are, whose you are, and why you're here, confidence becomes the natural byproduct. Think about a GPS for a moment. If you don't know your destination, every road looks confusing, every turn feels risky, and you hesitate at every intersection. That's exactly how most people live their lives. Uncertain, hesitant, second-guessing every move, because they haven't clarified their purpose. But the moment you set the destination, suddenly the roads make sense. The detours don't scare you. Even traffic delays don't frustrate you because you're clear on where you're going. That's what clarity does. It makes you unshakable. Most people confuse confidence with arrogance. Arrogance is loud, boastful, and fragile. Confidence, on the other hand, is quiet, steady, and unbreakable. And the secret ingredient behind it is clarity. When you know your assignment, you stop asking the world for permission. You stop measuring yourself by likes, followers, and applause. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into other people's opinions. Because when your vision is clear, their voices become noise. Here's a hook for you. Uncertainty creates insecurity, but clarity creates certainty. And certainty is magnetic. People are drawn to leaders who know where they're going. They're drawn to individuals who speak with conviction, not hesitation. You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to have a clear sense of direction. When you walk with clarity, people follow your confidence. Now, let's get real. Life will test your clarity. Circumstances will try to cloud your vision. People will project their doubts onto you. But clarity is what helps you stay centered when the storms come. If you know you're a why, you can endure almost any how. If you know what you're building, you won't crumble just because someone else doesn't believe in it. Clarity acts like an anchor that keeps your confidence grounded, no matter how rough the waters get. Some of you are waiting to feel confident before you take action. But here's the truth. You don't get confidence from waiting. You get confidence from clarity and movement. Confidence isn't built in the comfort zone. It's built when you move forward with a clear vision, even while fear whispers in your ear. Fear says, what if it doesn't work? But clarity says, what if it does? So ask yourself, what would shift in your life if you stopped second guessing and started moving with clarity? What doors would open if you spoke with conviction instead of hesitation? What opportunities would come your way if you walked with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their purpose? Confidence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about having the clearest vision in the room. And when your vision is clear, your confidence becomes undeniable. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to lose sight of your own progress the moment you start looking at someone else's lane? You can be feeling good about where you are, proud of how far you've come, even grateful for the small wins you've gathered along the way. And then you scroll, you compare, and suddenly your blessings look like burdens. That's the trap of comparison. It robs you of joy, blinds you to progress, and keeps you stuck chasing shadows that were never meant to be yours in the first place. Here's the truth. Every time you measure yourself against someone else, you dishonor your own uniqueness. You are designed with a specific fingerprint, a specific gift, and a specific assignment. No two people were built to have the same race, the same journey, or the same pace. Yet comparison tricks you into believing that if you don't look like them, move like them, or succeed like them, you're somehow behind. But you're not behind, you're simply on your own timeline. Let me hit you with a hook. Comparison creates competition where there should be celebration. Instead of clapping for others, comparison breeds envy. Instead of appreciating your growth, it breeds dissatisfaction. Your dissatisfaction rooted in comparison always makes you feel smaller than you are. The irony is the people you're comparing yourself to are often comparing themselves to someone else. It's a cycle with no finish line. Imagine a lion trying to run like a cheetah. It would always feel slow. Imagine an eagle trying to swim like a dolphin. It would always feel unqualified. The problem isn't ability. The problem is misalignment. The same applies to you. You were never meant to measure your value against someone else's assignment. When you do, you'll always feel a less than. Feel less than because you're measuring with the wrong. The trap of comparison is subtle because it disguises itself as motivation. You tell yourself, I'm just looking at them for inspiration. But too often, inspiration turns into imitation, and imitation kills innovation. The more you try to be like them, the more you bury the brilliance inside of you. And here's the painful reality. If you don't bring your unique gift to the table, the world misses out. Now lean into this. Your pace is perfect for your path. Some flowers bloom in spring, some in summer, and some not until late autumn. Does the timing make one more valuable than the other? Of course not. Each one is beautiful in its season. So why are you frustrated that your season doesn't look like someone else's? The fact that their fruit is showing doesn't mean your roots aren't growing. The freedom you've been craving will never come from trying to outshine someone else. It will come from realizing there is no race to win except the one you were born to run. And when you stop comparing, something amazing happens. You start celebrating. You celebrate their wins without feeling like it's taking from yours. You celebrate your growth without needing anyone else's approval. And that's when you finally step into the fullness of who you were meant to be. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever felt the sting of rejection so deep that it made you question your worth? Maybe it was a job you didn't get, a relationship that didn't last, a deal that didn't close, or a door that slammed shut in your face. In that moment, it feels like failure. It feels like you've been disqualified. But here's the truth most people miss. Rejection isn't the end of your story. It's the redirection to something better. What feels like a no is often just heaven's way of guiding you to a higher yes. You see, rejection hurts because we take it personally. We think it means we're not good enough, smart enough, talented enough, or worthy enough. But rejection is rarely about your value. It's about alignment. If a door closes, it means that behind it is not the opportunity designed for you. If someone walks away, it means they don't have the capacity to walk with you to where you're going. Rejection isn't evidence of your weakness. It's proof of your protection. Here's a hook for you. Sometimes the greatest blessing in your life is the opportunity you didn't get. You thought the job would change everything, but if you had gotten it, you might have missed the business you were born to build. You thought the relationship was your future, but if it had ended, you'd still be stuck in a version of yourself that couldn't grow. Rejection doesn't shrink your destiny, it shields it. It removes the wrong pieces so the right ones can fit. Think about it this way. When a pilot changes direction mid-flight, the passengers don't panic if they trust the pilot knows the route. In the same way, life's rejections are simply course corrections, rerouting you toward your divine destination. The question is, will you trust the process or will you resent the rejection? Most people waste years being bitter about the doors that closed, instead of realizing those closed doors are what pushed them toward open ones. Rejection is feedback. It reveals what doesn't belong in your future. It clears space for better opportunities. It strengthens your resilience. Every rejection you faced was actually equipping you for the acceptance that's coming. But if you stay stuck in disappointment, you'll never step into your redirection. Let me drop another hook. Rejection is never the final word. It's just a comma in your sentence. Story is still being written. So it's like, just because they didn't see your value doesn't mean you don't have value. Just because one path didn't open doesn't mean the road has ended. You're not stuck. You're being steered. So the next time rejection comes, don't crumble. Don't internalize it. Instead, shift your perspective and ask, what is this redirecting me toward? Because more often than not, rejection isn't a wall, it's a signpost. It's not life saying you're not enough, it's life saying you deserve more than. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how opportunities don't always go to the smartest, the most talented, or even the most qualified? They often go to the ones who are bold enough to step up, raise their hand, and say, I'm ready. Boldness has a magnetic quality. It pulls doors open that timidity keeps closed. It signals to the world and even to heaven itself that you are prepared to carry more than what you currently have. Here's the truth. Life doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards initiative. While some people are sitting back waiting for the perfect moment, bold people are already moving, already acting, already positioning themselves for increase. And here's the hook. The perfect moment doesn't exist. If you wait until you feel fully ready, you'll never move. Boldness is about stepping forward even when your knees are shaking, even when doubt whispers in your ear, even when fear tells you to sit down. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move in spite of it. When you walk in boldness, you send a signal. You communicate confidence, not only to others, but to yourself. You affirm that you believe in the value of what you carry, and people are drawn to that belief. Think about it. Would you follow a leader who second guesses every decision, or one who moves with clarity and conviction? Opportunities follow the bold because boldness inspires trust. It shows you're ready to handle responsibility. Most people think opportunity is about luck, but opportunity is really about alignment. It's about preparation meeting boldness. You might be prepared, you might be gifted, you might be sitting on the very solution someone needs. But if you never put yourself out there, if you never speak up, if you never take that shot, the opportunity will pass you by. Boldness isn't reckless, it's faith in action. It's believing that what's inside you is too valuable to stay hidden. Here's another hook for you. Closed mouths don't get fed, and closed lives don't get blessed. Boldness is the willingness to open your mouth, to show up, to take the stage, to make the ask, to knock on the door. And the more you practice boldness, the more your capacity expands. Suddenly, opportunities you thought were out of reach begin to reach for you because boldness makes you visible. Think about history. Every person who changed the world wasn't the one who played it safe. They were the ones who dared to step into arenas no one else had the courage to enter. They weren't always the most equipped, but they were always the most willing. And that willingness attracted opportunity after opportunity until the world had no choice but to take notice. So if you want more opportunities, stop waiting to be discovered. Start being bold. Make the call. Launch the idea. Share your story. Step into the room with the posture of someone who knows they belong. Boldness doesn't guarantee instant success, but it guarantees you won't stay invisible. And the moment you stop hiding and start standing, opportunity will recognize you. But let me start by asking you this. What makes a diamond valuable? Is it just the shine, the sparkle, the way it reflects the light? No, its value comes from its rarity. Its value comes from the fact that no two are exactly alike. Now think about yourself. Your originality works the exact same way. What makes you powerful, what makes you valuable, what makes you unforgettable is not your ability to blend in, but your courage to stand out. Your originality is your wealth. Here's the trap most people fall into. They spend their entire lives trying to replicate what someone else has already done. They copy styles, they mimic strategies, they duplicate voices. And while imitation might bring temporary attention, it will never bring lasting impact. Why? Because copies are always cheaper than originals. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the authentic, unapologetic version of you. And here's the hook. Your originality isn't just your difference, it's your dividend. It's the thing that pays you in influence, in opportunities and results that no one else can duplicate. Think about how the marketplace works. A painting that's mass-produced and sold in every store might be pretty, but it will never carry the price tag of an original masterpiece. The original is rare, it's one of a kind, and that uniqueness multiplies its value. In the same way, the most profitable thing you can ever do in your life is to stop selling yourself as a copy and start living as the original masterpiece you were designed to be. Your originality is your wealth because it carries your story. Nobody else has walked through what you've walked through. Nobody else has your exact set of experiences, lessons, scars, and victories. And when you embrace that, you realize that the very things you thought disqualified you are the very things that make you priceless. Someone is waiting to hear your story in your voice with your perspective from your journey. But if you keep hiding behind someone else's image, the world will never receive the wealth you carry. Here's another hook. When you devalue your originality, you bankrupt your destiny. Every time you silence your gift because you think it doesn't measure up to theirs, you rob yourself of opportunities and rob the world of transformation. Your originality is the one thing that no one can compete with. People can compete with your skill, they can compete with your strategy, but they can never compete with your essence. That's why the greatest wealth you possess is not in what you do, but in who you are. The wealthiest people on this planet didn't get there by being copies, they got there by owning their originality. They found their voice, their lane, their rhythm, and they built everything from that. You have the exact same potential, but it won't come alive until you decide that who you are is more than enough. Your originality is not something to hide, it's something to leverage. It's your advantage, your magnet, your wealth. And the moment you fully embrace it, doors will open, opportunities will come, and the world will start to reward the priceless masterpiece that is you.